The Chicago airport was a sea of faces coming in and out of turnstiles. In my country, India, usually see railway stations so filled up, people waiting for local trains. But that day, I was one of those faces. I was there to take the flight from Chicago to Calcutta. But no, it wasn't a homecoming for me. My dad wasn't well, and I was going over to see him, perhaps for the last time. It had been a long time, 10 years since I had moved to the US, working there with Goldman Sachs. But I hadn't really spoken to him in these last 10 years, leave alone meeting him. But I kept in touch with my mom. A weekly Skype call was the norm. But let's put it this way, my father and me mutually agreed not to speak. Well, just today morning, I was in one of the presentations with my clients in Chicago, when suddenly the phone rang. Ma, it said. I rejected it, thinking it to be a normal call. It came again. Can I take this call? It's from India. Yes, please. I moved outside the tea boardroom and whispered into it. Ma, what's it? I'm in a meeting. My mother's voice on the other side sounded trembling. She said, Baba, your dad is unwell. He just collapsed today morning after breakfast. He's hurt himself. He's frothing. Mama, just get an ambulance. It must be a small injury. No, beta. He's lying in a pool of blood. My heart immediately raced. Although we hadn't spoken, although we hadn't met. But I could remember all those times as a child when I really looked up to him. Sitting on his knees, looking up to his active lifestyle, his jovial outlook, his always passion to teach. I would take in starry-eyed everything that he said, wanting to become someday like him. Just wanting to be. But then, things changed. I grew up. I started thinking differently. I moved on. He stayed back in his old ideas. I wanted to move to Delhi for my education. He said, no, you need to stay in Calcutta and continue. My mother supported me. I went off to Delhi. And that's where I met Anita. We bonded well together. And though we understood that we had a strong cultural chasm to bridge, we decided to get married. That evening, I brought Anita to my dad and mom in Calcutta. And my dad clearly was standing firmly on his ground. And he says, over my dead body. And so saying, he moved over to stand and look out of the evening star from the window of the building. We didn't know what to do. I looked at Anita. Tears swelled up in her black eyes. She had come here ready to pay any price to be part of the family. And here, she was seeing me being broken from my family. Her hands were trembling. I went up to Dad and said, Dad, don't you want to do anything for your child's happiness? Staring blankly, he said, I have no child. My mom tried to intervene. She went up and said, why don't you just meet the girl? He simply retorted, I don't meet strangers. We knew that it was a no. With my head down, I went to my mom. She's a brave lady. With a sniff of her nose and a dupatta on her eyes, she said, my son, you've grown too big. You know what's good for you and what's bad for you. Go on. Live the life that you want. Be happy. And with that, both Anita and I turned and left that day. But even as I came down from the building, I could see Dad standing on the window that day. At the sky, which was slightly drizzling in the evening, I dare say I even saw a small speck tear in his eyes. But then things moved on. And to perhaps forget all this, we moved out. We went to the US. We were blessed with 2 beautiful children. Fortunately, they were not blessed with 2 loving grandparents. But then life is like that. You move on and you continue like that. As I was thinking on these lines, my flight landed in Kolkata. As I got off, I called my mom. Mom, how's Papa? Her voice was again low. She says, Beta, they say he's in coma. Come over to Woodlands Hospital immediately. I immediately got into the taxi, and as it veered through the Kolkata traffic and way to Woodlands, I remember taking out my wallet and looking at the 3-decade-old photograph of my dad with me. A much younger version and me in my early teens. But I still remember the love, the hug, the fondness with which he held me. That had been my routine every day for the last 10 years. As I reached the hospital, I moved in and I saw, even despite not meeting my mom for 10 years, I could see her silhouette and recognize her. The love for a mom just never goes. Immediately hugged her. Mom, how's Dad? Will he be able to see me? Will I be able to apologize to him? Immediately the public address system said, relatives of patient number 405A, please report to the ICU in charge. That was Dad. We immediately rushed in. And there what I saw was a fair distance from what I had his image. Gone was a strong, arrogant man, and there lay a frail old man. He was with a nose pipe and an oxygen map and a ventilator all around and a posse of doctors trying to revive him. I just felt how life takes a turn. The bleep of the monitor had already slowed down, and even a non-medical person like me knew what it meant. I went over to him, I touched him. He was still warm. A tear dropped from my eye. I wanted him to just open his eyes once and for me to say sorry. The doctors had got their electric shocks and they were applying it to his heart. First shock, nothing happened. The second shock, nothing happened. And then suddenly, there was a blip on the monitor. He opened his eyes. It was out of focus. I don't know where he was seeing. But I just looked at him and I said, Dad, I'm sorry. At that moment, his nose started bleeding. He went off. I'd like to think that was a final forgiveness. And then the doctors came and closed his eyes for him. Mr. Master said,